Oh, welcome back. This week, the fine fellers and fellettes at O'Reilly want to help you better understand.
Derek Bieri seemed to have it all. Vice Grip Garage made him millions. Over 3 million subscribers loved watching him fix cars. His family looked perfect. His Tennessee farm was paradise. But in 2023, something happened that changed everything. It wasn't a burnout. It wasn't a money problem. It was much worse. One moment in his garage nearly killed him. His 12-year-old son saw everything. What Derek experienced that day broke him in ways nobody expected. The man who could fix anything couldn't fix what happened next. He was born on May 16, 1984, in the cold, quiet town of Minot, North Dakota, where winter lasted most of the year and snow often buried the land for weeks at a time. His family lived in a small white farmhouse that stood alone in the middle of flat fields and endless skies. There weren't many luxuries there. His father was a farmer who woke before dawn every day, working through snowstorms and frozen ground just to keep the equipment alive. In a place where you couldn't just run to a store, you had to fix what you had. If something broke, you didn't toss it, you rebuilt it. Derek Bieri grew up knowing that money was tight, resources were few, and survival meant learning how to work with your hands. By the time he was 3, he wasn't playing with toys, he was taking them apart. He'd sit in the barn with his father, watching him repair tractor engines, the smell of oil and the sound of metal clinks filling the cold air. One day in 1987, he quietly dismantled his toy truck and lined up the screws like his dad did. Nobody stopped him. His father encouraged it. And soon, he was fixing the family lawnmower when it wouldn't start, listening to its hiccups and using just his senses to guess what went wrong. Everything in Derek's early life pointed toward one thing: fix it yourself and fix it cheap. When he was 5, family dinners turned into lessons in reusing old parts. One summer in 1989, his father gave him a broken wagon and a challenge: to fix it using scrap from 3 dead machines. He spent months figuring it out. At age 7, he had already repaired 6 farm tools using only junkyard parts and bolts others threw away. He wasn't learning these things because he wanted a hobby. He was learning them because that's how people survived where he lived. Even in kindergarten, you could see it. He was different. He fixed his own bike chain at age 6 and didn't tell anyone. His grandfather, a WW2 vet, used to tell stories about patching military vehicles under fire. Derek sat by the fire and listened closely, then stayed up late trying to apply what he'd heard to whatever old junk he could find in the yard. When he found a rusted 1972 farm truck with a seized engine, he didn't quit. He spent 14 straight nights on it, freezing fingers working by lamplight. And he got it running. That stubbornness, that never-let-go grit, was already there. In 1991, when he was 7, he didn't ask for a toy. He built one, a go-kart made from a baby stroller frame, leftover lawnmower engine, and whatever metal he could weld together. The whole thing cost less than $10, and it worked. He rode it through the fields like it was a brand-new machine. That first go-kart became 3, then 4. Each one better than the last. He didn't believe in waste. If something had parts, it had potential. At 13, digging through the back of the family shed, he found something that stopped him. His grandfather's old Ford truck, rusted, tired, and nearly forgotten. No manuals, no help, no fancy tools, just Derek, some borrowed wrenches, and time. He stripped the rust by hand, replaced the ignition wires, rebuilt the distributor, and when he changed the oil all by himself, it wasn't just a mechanical task. It was the first step in what would become his life. In 2001, he joined the auto shop class at Minot High School. Most kids there were just trying to pass. Derek was rebuilding a 1972 Chevy Nova carburetor down to the smallest bolt. He made diagrams, took notes, cleaned every part by hand. The Nova won him straight A's and a best-in-class ribbon at the local fair. It even got an honorable mention in a regional competition. But for Derek, the real prize was knowing he'd figured it out alone. The next summer, when he was 16, he wanted to keep learning, but his parents couldn't afford new parts, so he bought a beat-up 1985 Honda Civic for $200. Over 3 long months, he replaced the entire transmission with junkyard parts. He hoisted the engine himself, removed the bad system, and jerry-rigged a new one with tools and scraps. A job that would have cost $800 at a shop, he did for a fraction. Then came the accident. At 17, while welding a scrap fender, he made a mistake that left his index finger fused to the metal. The pain sent him straight to the hospital. But he didn't quit. Instead, he studied safety protocol like a soldier studies a map. It was a brutal lesson, but it made him better. After high school in 2002, he joined a local college program in automotive tech. In late-night lab sessions, he took apart V8 engines bolt by bolt. While others left early, he stayed behind to clean parts until midnight. Professors noticed. He wasn't fast, but he was exact. Every part was cataloged, cleaned, and reassembled with care. This was where he began developing the slow, methodical process that would later define his car builds online. But before any of that could turn into a career, he joined the U.S. Army at 18. They sent him to Fort Gordon, Georgia, where he became an information tech specialist. His job was keeping satellite systems online, making sure military units could talk to each other even during simulated combat. 12-hour shifts, glitches, pressure. He learned how to stay calm, how to work fast, how to solve problems when failure wasn't an option. In 2004, they sent him to Iraq. He was 20. During one patrol near Baghdad, his convoy's Humvee broke down. No power, no time, and they were exposed. Derek slid under the truck with a flashlight, traced the wires, found a fried relay, and bypassed it, using scraps and hand tools. He got the vehicle running again and saved the convoy from being stuck in enemy territory. His commanding officer never forgot it. But he didn't stop there. That same year, he wrote his own software, a simple tool that lets soldiers diagnose electrical issues in their vehicles without waiting for outside help. It ran on basic Army laptops and saved time in the field. He even used it to fix a buddy's 1990 Jeep Wrangler by identifying hidden wiring faults. Word spread fast. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was the guy who could fix anything. Then came the laptop theft. In 2005, enemy saboteurs stole a vital control laptop from a transport truck. Without it, the vehicle couldn't run. Derek dug through trash, found old cables, stripped parts from a dead generator, and built a custom wiring harness from scratch. He did it in 2 nights. The truck worked. His unit kept moving. The Army quietly issued a commendation. He was discharged in 2007, age 23. He went home to North Dakota with everything he'd learned and something to prove. He found a rusted 1969 Chevy Camaro and got to work. He pulled the engine out himself, rewired the entire car, patched the floor. Every bolt was cleaned. Every repair was done by hand, in the cold, in his parents' driveway. He was 24 when he walked into that Minot dealership in 2008, fresh out of the military, hands still used to wrenching on Humvees. But this wasn't about war anymore. It was about transmissions. That first year, he tore through over 500 of them, most of them GM V6s, known in the industry for chewing up lesser techs. His success rate hit 98%. People started talking, not because he was flashy, but because every car he touched seemed to come back to life. After hours, he'd sit under fluorescent lights with old manuals, figuring out where others gave up. By the time 2009 rolled around, he wasn't just fixing cars, he was teaching others how. His guides became gospel in that shop. The managers said they'd never seen a climb like this. It didn't feel fast to him, it just felt right. By 26, in 2010, he wasn't turning wrenches anymore. He was managing a team of 15 across a regional auto chain. And he didn't manage like most. He didn't wear suits. He wore coveralls. He still walked the shop floor, checking bolts, testing torque, asking questions. That year, he introduced something bold, reusing salvaged parts, cataloging every usable screw, bracket, and gasket. It wasn't about being cheap, it was about being smart. Costs dropped 30%. Executives flew in. They made him present it to a national meeting. Soon, the entire chain followed his system. It wasn't a fluke. It was a plan. He wasn't just saving money. He was building trust, keeping his crew motivated, making sure no one felt disposable. In 2012, he stepped into a new room, Vice President of Operations. A Midwest parts company with over $2 million in supplier contracts now had him at the helm, and he made a quiet shift. He started choosing vendors not just for price, but for how they treated their workers. If they paid fair wages, ensured safe workplaces, they got bigger deals. If they didn't, he walked away. Over 2 years, the company's turnover rate dropped 40%. No more burned-out staff running for the door. This wasn't common in his world, and word got out. His name began showing up in trade magazines. Quiet guy, strong ethics, solid numbers, a rare mix. Then 2014 hit like a hammer. He was 30 and now CEO. One night, staring at financial reports, something didn't add up, and he didn't hand it off to accountants. He stayed up night after night doing the math himself. What he found was worse than he imagined. $150,000 gone. His own CFO. Fake invoices. Phantom vendors. The betrayal cut deep. But within weeks, he tracked down $120,000, pressed charges, fired the CFO, and told his team everything. No secrets. The local business community was stunned, not just by the theft, but by how fast and fearlessly he responded. That moment changed how people saw him. Not just a leader, but a protector. 2 years later, the world saw a different side. He had started filming in his garage. No lights, no crew, just him, some rusted metal, and a taped-up iPhone. It wasn't a business plan, it was therapy. The boardroom politics, the backstabbing, the pressure, it all melted away when he picked up a wrench, and people noticed. His videos weren't polished, they were real. Mistakes left in, grease under the nails, laughter between curses. And it clicked. Viewers didn't want perfection, they wanted honesty. Vice Grip Garage was born in those late nights. It grew quietly at first, then it exploded. Over 1.39 million subscribers, over 250 million views. And behind it all was a man who just wanted to feel like himself again. But none of it would have worked without Jessica. They met at the Minot County Fair in 2001. He was 17. She was too. Two farm kids who understood hard work, long winters, and second-hand boots. They started dating seriously, and on July 19, 2008, they married in a backyard. Just 50 people. No flash, just vows and dirt roads. He was fresh out of service. She was his anchor. Through every job, every move, every crisis, she stayed. That wasn't a fairy tale. That was a choice. Every single day. Now, more than 14 years married and 24 years together, they still speak in looks and finish each other's frustrations. On March 17, 2010, their life changed again. Twin boys, Bailey and Bradley, born early but healthy, and everything changed. Derek was flying out for meetings, fixing operations, leading teams, but at home, he was on diaper duty at 2 a.m., bottle in one hand, laptop in the other. He refused to miss those moments, but the guilt gnawed at him. Every plane ride felt like he was flying away from what mattered. And Jessica, managing a home with 2 infants, never let him forget who he was really working for. Then Bentley came in 2012, and a daughter in 2015, whose name they've kept quietly theirs. That same year, Derek's company nearly collapsed. The embezzlement, the lawsuits, the pressure. He was working 60-hour weeks. Some days, he barely spoke. Jessica took over finances, ran the house, managed the chaos. They had nights they didn't talk. Weeks they barely smiled. But they never gave up. Not on each other. Not on the dream. Then came the therapy. In 2016, Jessica sat him down, said something was wrong, and he admitted what he'd been hiding. Burnout so deep he was scared it might break him. He feared missing his kids grow up. He feared becoming a man he didn't recognize. So they made a choice. Together. He would walk away. Slowly, quietly, he'd leave the corporate world behind. That same year, Vice Grip Garage became more than a hobby. It became a path, a way out, a new chapter. By 2018, they packed everything and moved to Lewisburg, Tennessee. It wasn't about escape. It was about finding peace, Tennessee had no income tax, warmer weather, and land to breathe. Jessica started homeschooling. Derek got to work year-round on cars. The kids had space, the family had time, and Derek finally had balance. He wasn't chasing titles anymore. He was chasing life. And he caught it. When Derek Bieri filmed his first Vice Grip garage video in 2007, he was just 23 and serving in the military. It was a simple oil change on a 1969 Camaro, shot in his garage with a basic camera. That video got around 50 views. But something about his blunt honesty, no-frills garage, and real tools caught the attention of a few hardcore car guys. There was no script, no editing tricks, just raw hands and real rust. While other car channels polished their videos with studio lighting and fancy shots, Derek just showed what was real. That quiet, stubborn consistency slowly built a community that valued truth over polish. And though it started small, that camera would eventually capture one of the internet's most respected classic car transformations. In 2018, Derek was 34 and walked away from his corporate job to focus fully on Vice Grip Garage. He filmed a revival of a 1969 Camaro Z28 using an old taped-up iPhone and a $100 small block pulled from an Impala at a swap meet. The exhaust was zip-tied, the hood had been crudely chopped for radiator clearance, and the whole thing ran with the kind of chaos you can't fake. In just a few weeks, the video racked up 848,000 views. That single video proved the world was hungry for authenticity, and Derek had it pouring out of every frame. But his real legend began with a $300 rust bucket. In 2016, he found a 1972 Plymouth Duster decaying in a barn. It barely held together, but he duct-taped the leaks, tied down the hood with bungees, and somehow drove it 100 miles home without brakes and with a transmission that fought every gear. That journey, filmed with pure grit, turned into a cult favorite and pushed his subscriber count to 100,000 by mid-2018. What started as a skeleton of a car later became a roaring muscle machine with a 485 horsepower V8, built not in a million-dollar shop, but in a regular man's garage. Then, in 2019, things nearly fell apart. Hackers broke into his YouTube account, plastered his face on obscene content, and shut down his channel. It could have ended everything. But Derek had an IT background from his military days. He cleaned out the attack, tightened his security, and came back stronger. Two-factor logins, new monitoring, and public lessons on digital safety became part of his message. His followers didn't leave. They stood by him, sharing tips and flooding the comments with support. In 2020, as the world shut down during the pandemic, Derek leaned into what he did best, resurrecting forgotten machines. He pulled a 1964 Ford Falcon back to life, and along the way, he shouted something that stuck. "Send it!" It became more than a phrase. It was his flag in the ground. The moment was perfectly timed. With millions stuck at home looking for something real, the video hit hard. By the end of that year, Vice Grip Garage had crossed 500,000 subscribers. People weren't just watching a man fix cars. They were watching someone refuse to give up. A year later, in 2021, he found a 1965 Mustang rotting in a junkyard in Minnesota. All four wheels were locked. The roof was caved in. There were animal carcasses inside. But Derek built his own trailer, hauled the car 500 miles to Tennessee, and made it run. Not showroom restored, but roadworthy, loud, and fast. That video hit 2 million views. In the same year, he took on something even crazier, driving a 1970 Chevy P10 ice cream truck across 700 miles during the Midwest drags. The truck barely hit 75 km/h before the speedometer broke. The brakes were shot. He served fans hot dogs from the back between fixing broken parts. The trip was loud, uncomfortable, and somehow beautiful. More than 1.5 million people watched it. But it wasn't all victory laps. In 2022, someone broke into Derek's Tennessee garage and stole a freshly rebuilt $1,200 Holley carburetor. It was more than a part. It was a key piece for a build he was filming. Security footage caught the thief. Derek stayed calm but took the hit personally. His audience did too. The video of the theft went viral, and tips poured in. He installed new locks, cameras, and motion alerts. The bond between him and his viewers only grew stronger. In 2023, he pulled off something few thought possible. During Sick Week, his Chevelle, nicknamed Independence, ripped a 9.73-second quarter mile at 140 mph. That's fast for any car. But Derek's was still running a stock-style 10-bolt rear end. He wrote, "Pray for me" on the diff cover and launched anyway. The car held together. Jessica, his co-driver, helped with everything from driving duties to snack deliveries. Inside, the Chevelle was mostly original, except for a 6-point roll bar and racing belts from the late 80s. The engine was a Pro Charger-fed big block. That one pass sent subscriber numbers soaring to 1.8 million. Later that year, Derek made his TV debut. Motor Trend launched a show called Roadworthy Rescues, and the first build featured Derek restoring a 1970 Chevelle in just 1 week. The car had been sitting dead for 26 years. He got it running, then drove it 600 miles through Tennessee weather. The show kept his YouTube grit, but wrapped it in professional editing. It got a Daytime Emmy nomination for editing, but the heart of it stayed the same. One guy, low budget, no excuses, all heart. By 2024, Derek Bieri wasn't just wrenching in a garage anymore. He was running an empire built on rust, revival, and raw honesty. Vice Grip Garage crossed 2.2 million YouTube subscribers and 756 million views without scripts, flashy effects, or a team. He did it all alone. His videos were often 100 minutes long, filmed late into the night, lit by garage bulbs and caffeine. What started as budget restorations turned into a business model so unique it confused industry veterans. He'd fix a car and sell it for just $50 or $100 over cost, then pour that money straight back into another build. This cycle didn't make him rich overnight, but it made him trusted. And trust, in his case, turned into a $5 million net worth. It wasn't just YouTube ads, it was sponsors like Bare Metal Zombie, TV appearances like Roadworthy Rescues, and limited edition merchandise that vanished from the internet in under 48 hours. That merchandise line, launched in 2024 under the name Vice Grip Lodge, wasn't just a side hustle. It was a love letter to Sick Week. Derek released 10,000 Pray For Me diff covers with custom art from his wild racing runs. All of them sold out in 2 days. The covers weren't cheap either. People didn't just buy them, they showed them off. Photos flooded social media. Fans painted them, mounted them, turned them into collector trophies. Proceeds went back into new projects and even small philanthropic efforts. Derek had found something rare, a product that wasn't just merch, it was a badge of belonging. The same year, during Sick Week 2024, Derek didn't win the race, but won something louder. While trying to compete in his 1971 Chevelle named Liberty, a beast with a 540 cubic inch big block and a turbo 400 transmission, his turbo swap failed. The engine died, but he didn't panic. He live-streamed the whole thing. 50,000 people tuned in as he calmly broke down every single issue, from part specs to failure points. This wasn't just a crash, it was a masterclass. The audience voted him the event's top spectator pick. In a crowd of 300 racers, including names like Cletus McFarland and PFI Speed, Derek didn't just show up. He stood out, then came the silence. In early 2025, fans panicked. The uploads stopped. Rumors flew. Scandal, burnout, disappearance. Theories spread across forums like wildfire. But Derek wasn't gone. He was deep in the garage, restoring a 1968 Plymouth Fury that demanded everything. No camera crew, just him, tools, and his kids. He finally posted a vlog, quiet and personal, showing his boys helping him turn wrenches and Jessica organizing bolts beside him. That one video calmed everything. Fans didn't just forgive the break, they doubled down, showing more support than ever. What they didn't know, at least not right away, was what had really happened. That fury almost killed him. One cold day in late 2023, he was under the car, trying to free a rusted exhaust bolt. The floor was slick with oil. The jack stand slipped. 4,000 pounds of steel came crashing down, pinning his arm and missing his skull by inches. Bentley, just 12, saw it all. Jessica ran out screaming. Somehow, Derek pulled his arm free. No broken bones, just bruises and a new philosophy. That night, they all sat down and agreed. Safety comes first. No more cutting corners. No more rush jobs. The channel shifted from weekly uploads to twice a month. That moment, never caught on camera, quietly rewired everything. Still, the internet kept guessing. When fans noticed fewer videos, they assumed burnout. In truth, Derek had just changed. He released a video in 2024 restoring a barn-find Chevy, not for speed, but for safety. Every jack stand was double-checked, every wheel chock in place. He didn't say, "I almost died." He didn't have to. The message was loud. Fixing cars is only worth it if you make it home afterward. The following year, 2025, pushed that message even further. During Sick Week prep, Derek's donor engine, bought for $3,000 and labeled "Ready to Roll," seized during install. The crankshaft refused to budge. A rusted piston, hidden damage, and no time to replace it. Most people would have walked away. Derek didn't. He grabbed parts from old farm stock, rebuilt the carburetor, custom-fit a salvage transmission. He even built a makeshift engine stand. It was a disaster turned into a how-to lesson. The race got delayed, the tuning suffered, but the car ran. He posted the whole process to help others avoid the same $3,000 trap. Later that year, he built something new. Not a revival, but a revelation. His first purpose-built drag car, a 1970 Nova, wasn't made from scraps. It was methodical. Reinforced frame rails, roll cage, chassis testing, brake upgrades, a custom fuel cell. The Nova hit 150 manatimed on its first run. He wasn't trying to impress anymore. He was trying to do it right. Fans could see it in every weld. It wasn't about going fast, it was about going smart. By 2025, Derek Bieri was 41 years old. Vice Grip Garage had passed 3 million subscribers. His personal net worth had climbed to $7 million. He'd restored over 10,000 cars, each one a lesson in grit, not glamour. His Tennessee farm had become both home and headquarters, a symbol of escape from the corporate life he once lived. The numbers were huge, but they weren't the legacy. What mattered more was what those numbers represented: honesty, patience, and a community that learned one bolt at a time. Even with all the fame, Derek never stopped being a dad. In 2025, a video of him tuning up a Camaro with his sons hit 1 million views. Bailey, Bradley, and Bentley weren't extras. They were apprentices. Jessica wasn't behind the scenes. She was in the thick of it, coordinating road trips, handing tools, filming. Their life wasn't staged. You could hear the kids laughing in the background or yelling when a wrench slipped. That raw family rhythm was the real magic. It wasn't content, it was connection. And then came a whisper of something new. In late 2025, Derek teased a book. It wasn't just racing tips, it was therapy. Quiet lines about the toll that near-death moment took. The book would be about budget racing secrets. But between the torque specs and tuning charts, it would talk about fear, pressure, healing. He wasn't stopping. He was just changing lanes. In 2026, he planned to take a twin-turbo Falcon to the Midwest drags, chasing a sub-9-second run. But the money from that race wouldn't go into his pocket. It would go to scholarships for young mechanics back in Minot, North Dakota, where it all began.